you believe it's tomorrow's the...
What's happening, y'all? Welcome to the Friday Night Fish Talk pregame show.
Yep.
Here with Captain Zach.
The one and the only.
Yeah. Pre-gaming with you guys, having a pre-game special.
Brought to you by
Phillips Auto Group.
That's it. All right, so
we're here, just giving y'all a chance and us a chance to get finally situated, get signed in, say hello. Any conversations, comments, anything of that nature to go on? This is the time to do it.
I've got a comment and a question right now. Where do you get one of these toilet buckets?
So these little toilet buckets, we actually sell them downstairs in the OKM store.
Do you have any bigger than this? I have some very large clients. Do you have one that goes on a 55-gallon trash
I think
can?
at that point, I think it's the restroom around you.
Anyways.
like for those ladies that ask you, do you have a bathroom on your boat? Yes, I do.
Why, yes. Yep, jump on in.
Pick a side, any side. Anyway, how was the fishing this week, guys? Tell us about, if you're catching them, where you're catching them. Specifically, tell me where you're catching them. That would be nice.
Definitely helpful.
Tell Louie where you're catching the grouper.
That's right.
Absolutely. Got a few additions to the studio here. Got a few new paintings on the walls.
I see them.
Yeah.
They're very interesting.
Something a little different, change up. Man, that's a better looking painting.
Anybody down for a gold grouper?
Oh, yeah. Or how about a redfish?
Look at that.
Man.
That thing's in some skinny water.
Belly crawl.
Nice to be able to have some a fresh look up here. Something else to stare at besides blank walls and Zach's face. So.
That's it. I know you guys take your eyes off it for a minute. Stare at something that looks not as good, but anyways.
So is everybody out coming along out there? Any comments?
Okay, Gary apparently is a rookie, so it's taken a while to get the comments up. Is
man down.
Is it this lighting, or did I not put sunscreen on today? Because I look really red.
Yeah, it's always the lighting.
It's always the lighting.
That you don't wear.
I do. I've been wearing it. Deanna, ever since we got married, it's crazy. Deanna's really trying to take care of me now. She's buying sunscreen for me, telling me I need to do this and that before.
Zach's over here. Yes, dear.
Half the money and all.
Yeah, well, that's true, Louie. Louie said she's going to get half the money and, well, no, if I die, she gets all of it, I guess.
Oh, man.
But.
So how these afternoon weather systems straighten you?
Buddy, I got my butt handed to me on the way back in today.
Oh, I bet.
It was tough. But fishing was decent. Wasn't crazy good, but...
They sort of turned into a monsoon out there.
Yeah, I literally thought the bow cap to my skiff was just going to pass me or hit me in the tower, one of the two. So
yeah, I beat it in by about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It hit me when I was at the spool banks, and I just had to go through it the entire way in. So, yep, it was...
There was one that just kind of sat there, too. Didn't move through quick.
Yep.
Part of it.
Cheated death once again.
Yeah.
Lightning popping around you, Anyways,
what
you get
What all did you catch today?
A handful of redfish, handful of trout. I know it's we'll get into this when we're done with
nice to hear
the thing, but the trout are definitely gonna be showing up soon, which is my absolute favorite fish to catch.
Pretty excited for that.
For trout, so we'll definitely go over tips, techniques, all kinds of stuff.
Sweet. All right, guys. So we'll be right back and tune in for the show.
Beyond the woods, down the twists and the turns, through the marsh lies the knowledge needed to fish the nature coast.
Dude, he came all the way out of the water.
This is Friday Night Fish Talk.
Growing a tail.
Welcome to
Friday Night Fish Talk, y'all. Presented by
one and only
Phillips Auto Group.
Phillips Auto Group.
Good
Phillips
people.
Auto Group.
Good people.
Ooh, this is going to be a fun episode tonight, Billy.
A
I'm
little
excited.
free-for-all action.
You excited? Hold on 1 second. I forgot something in the back here.
Hold
You got
on.
it? All right, perfect. So we don't have Sean tonight.
Yeah.
Sean and Vinny are down in the Keys. You guys already talked about that?
No, we told him, we let everybody know that he was gone, but not
So
really.
Sean and Vinny are down in the Keys fishing the Hells Bay Owners Tournament, and they actually got first place in snook. So
pretty
congratulate our very own Sean and Vinny. That's pretty awesome. They got a good team going there.
It was a good thing that Sean brought Vinny because I don't think he would have ended up on the leaderboard otherwise.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty cool, especially going. They've never fished down there for that species inshore. And
Absolutely.
I didn't even know you could catch snook down there. To be very honest,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Happy for him.
So that being said, Sean is not here, but Brianna is killing it back there on the computer. So if you have, notice a few bloops, just comment. Miss Jordan's actually monitoring all the comments, so
She's
she'll be able to
tempted.
see your comments. And but tonight we're doing a free-for-all, and we posted about it all week. We talked about it on the show last week. It is you get to ask us the questions, and we're going to answer them. So
Don't really care what the questions are about.
we've got all your questions inside of this really cool Lee Fisher toilet bucket seat here. So we're going to be pulling questions out. And we told everyone the way to get entered into the Reel of Fortune this week is by
And are asking questions?
asking questions. So this is how we're going to do it. So there's 6 slots on the Reel of Fortune by Extreme Decals.
Yeah.
And the first 3 questions that we pull out of the toilet, the first 3 people that ask those questions
That's
get
it. The
added
names
on.
are tagged in them.
Yep, you get added onto the board. Then the last 3 that we pull, the last 3 get added onto the board.
Sweet.
So first 3 and last 3, that's how you're going to get entered.
So no questions tonight outside of what they're asking us.
That's it. Yep.
I
So
like it.
now, Billy, before we get into the free-for-all, we've got a big tournament. We just started announcing we opened up the date. So it is going to be
Yes.
December 10th is for the Ho Fishing for Dough. Super excited about it. It's a great turnout, great cause. Last year we broke records and
That was pretty epic.
yeah,
Pretty epic. Can only imagine what this year is going to bring for us.
awesome turnout. If you're interested in sponsoring that event, go over to my Facebook page, or we're going to post it on the Ozella Keys Facebook page here shortly, probably tomorrow or Sunday, on how you can inquire about sponsorship packages.
Absolutely.
100% net proceeds goes back to the children of Citrus County that could use a little extra holiday joy.
Good old Christmas time.
That's it. All right, Billy, let's get into the free-for-all.
All right. So
You excited? You want to pull the first question? Now, how this is going to work is we're going to, like I said, we're going to pull a question. Billy's going to pull the first one. And depending on the
Ooh.
question...
you stuck to that one.
Oh, that was from me earlier, sorry. So depending on the question, we're going to turn it over to one of our colleagues, either Captain Louie over there at the Nature Coast Financial Advisors, Tackle Table Talk, or Captain Zach at the Allende Matthews State Farm Casting Council.
Exactly it. So are we ready for the first
Exactly
one?
it.
Da-da-da.
That was good. That's a good one.
That was pretty good.
All right, Billy, what's the first question?
So the first question is going to be for Captain Zach, and believe it or not, it's actually one of his favorite lures to use. So the question itself,
Trout.
it's the question: can you use a Little John up by the mangroves for reds, snooks, or does it work better out on the flats? Also, what kind of action do you give it, Zach?
But real quick, who asked that question?
This was asked by John Stevenson
Stevenson
Jr.
Jr. All right, so John gets added to the Reel of Fortune. So, camera's off. All right, let's turn this bad boy
Hey,
back
we're
on.
back.
All right. There's our first blooper of the night.
Happens quick.
Still not on.
Well, we see Zach.
All right. There it is. Hey. Oh, we're going to zoom it in.
She's hiding.
All right.
Captain Zachary here on the Allende Matthews casting couch. And I saw Allende today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him both rode in from the spool banks together. Well, not really together. His boat's way faster than mine. But it was nice. He literally waited on me at Shell Island
Oh, that's
to make
pretty
sure
cool.
I made it in okay safely.
That's a great
Nice.
neighbor.
And then that's a neighbor that cares. Is that
You
the
wanted to see
lingo?
if you needed any insurance.
Yeah, I probably see if I
Want
needed
to check
any
that
insurance.
claim?
Are you checking? Are you?
And then after he was sitting there, then he's like, well, maybe I'll just sit out here and snook fish. I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. There's too much lightning. So anyways, to answer your question, you can use this anywhere. Anywhere there's fish. You can catch bass, bluegill, brim, everything. You work it all different ways depending on water depth, okay? So if you're fishing this against the mangroves, I personally would recommend doing a Texas rig on here with either an 1/8 or a 1/4 ounce bullet weight on it, okay? Texas rig is where you have the hook come down and it goes back into the lure, okay? And so you can throw it, essentially, if you're not that great at casting and you throw it up into the mangroves, you've got a better way of retrieving it. You know, it's not going to get caught up in the roots and the sticks and everything like that. And then also in our area, typically you've got rocks or sticks that are down in the water, you know, around those mangroves. And so when you've got that cover or that structure, if you use a Texas rig, a weedless hook, that's going to be the best method for in very shallow water next to mangroves. When you're fishing for, you know, trout with this, I would be going, depending on water depth, you know, a 16th ounce, 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, depending on your water. And believe it or not, you can actually nose hook these and they work fine like that as well. How you're going to want to work it basically on all of them is you're going to want this thing to go down to the bottom, and it's going to kind of sit like this on the bottom, and then you're going to pop it 2 or 3 times, and so it'll wiggle up like that, and it'll go down, and then wiggle up like that, and then let's see if I can, and then you've got your trout that's going to go, and then you're going to catch them. It's going to be pretty cool. All right. So same thing with your jig head too. So just let it get down and just essentially pop it off the bottom. If you're working an area where there's a lot of current, typically, you know, this is mimicking a shrimp. So your shrimp aren't going to be down on the bottom. They're going to be moving in that. So if you've got real fast moving water, I'd let that thing get to the bottom and then just do kind of a slow retrieve close to the bottom on the way in. And that's basically using a Little John XL in a nutshell. All right.
Boom. Perfect. There you
Hopefully
go.
that answered the question.
So John Stevenson, hope that answered the question. Pretty sure it did. All right, let's go ahead and ask, see what's number 2 here. All right, so the second question is Jerry Utterback. And Jerry, you just got added on to the Reel of Fortune.
Number 2 spot.
This question is definitely, this one's going to go over to Louie.
All right.
All right, what bait and where, how deep to go for my best chances of catching trout currently, as of right now?
Currently, I believe that your trout fishing is almost going to be the deeper the better. I haven't been doing a whole lot of it. You know, I know that some people have been catching a few inshore, not a whole lot. But if we're going to talk about exactly where to be, I say anywhere from 5 to 8 feet of water. Something that we've seen here lately is all this, you know, bait in the water, birds diving, Spanish mackerels. It's on. Can you not hear me? It's on.
Face it up then.
How about now? All right, go ahead and turn her up. So what I was after was that areas where there's tons of bait in the water, you know, anywhere from 5 to 7 feet where there's grass and there's little sandy patches and stuff like that, that's where you're going to want to fish. I would be using, just like Zach said, either a Little John, some of these saltwater assassins. You know, I like to use a little bit heavier weight. If we're fishing areas where the grass isn't as tall, you have shorter grass, you're going to want to use this little bit heavier weight. It's going to bounce on that bottom, hit a little bit of sand, puff a little sand up, and then you're going to get that action. That's something that they're going to see from far ways away. If there's a lot of grass, you want to use maybe an 1/8 ounce. This is a 3/8, maybe a 1/4. A lot of grass, you want to use the 1/8 ounce, kind of bring it over the grass, pop it through it. That's going to be your best bet. But like I said, anywhere from 5 to 7 feet of water. Maybe if there's some rocks around, but look for the birds diving, look for the bait. those would be your areas where your trout are going to be right now.
There's a lot of frigate birds out there on the move.
That's for sure. I feel like you want to look more for the pelicans than you do the frigates. The frigates are all over the place.
Yeah, once you see those pelicans show up, that's where you trout fish.
Exactly.
You remember what William Toney taught us the one time on that show is look for the osprey.
Osprey too, yeah.
That's more for fall, I believe.
Yeah.
But
They're busting in that shallow water.
yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
But that was, I started doing that, moving into fall, and it worked.
Yeah.
Especially like you get around Trout Key Bay and you want to figure out where they are in Trout Bay. You just look at that thing.
Follow that osprey.
That's for sure.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
All right. So what do you think we do one more question before we go to a commercial?
Yeah, let's see who
This can be the third person.
third person on the wheel of.
And then after this, the last 3 people to get picked.
I like
gets
it.
added.
I like it. All right, who do we got here?
Whoa, Billy, don't break it in half.
Ooh, try not to. All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a free-for-all. So anybody wants to chime in on this one? This question is coming in from Laura Winsalot. What tide chart / app are you guys finding your tides for Ozello app?
All right. So let's since we're right here, let's start. So I use Tides for Fishing.
Is that an app or is it a website?
It's a website.
It's a website? Okay.
I have it set up as a quick app on my phone. I forget
Nice.
a widget, I think it's called. At the end of the day, I think they're all accurate. The only thing that I notice is like on GPSs, I used to go off my GPS tide, but that's only if you're updating it, once you get onto Wi-Fi. Otherwise, it doesn't update.
That makes sense. Doesn't account for the daily changes.
Yeah, I go off of Tides for Fishing.
Nice.
What about you?
I personally use an app that I had just actually got on the marketplace for apps on my phone, and I found a free tide chart. The nice thing about it is I can pick anywhere in Florida to Louisiana, and I can pick literally like Crystal River has 15 different areas you can pick from. I run off of Tucker's Island for Ozello itself. They do offer the Ozello and North Ozello area, but Tucker's Island always kind of prevails for us here.
I think that's the most important thing is figure out exactly where those tide markers are compared to where you're fishing.
Absolutely, because going from Shell Island to St. Martin's is quite a few hour difference.
Yeah, Mangrove Point to St. Martin's is a big difference for tide levels. So
Absolutely.
Louis, what do you use?
I use a tide app called Tides.
Tides.
It's very simple, but it's like you were saying. I always tell people, we have a lot of people who get on our boats and ask us this question. The biggest thing is to base everywhere so say if you're fishing in Crystal River, everywhere in Crystal River, you want to base off a single tide chart to know, or a tide station to know where it is at certain places. So like, let's say Mangrove Point. So as a group of fishermen, I base all my tides off Mangrove Point, knowing, when the tide's going to be coming in, when the tide's going to be coming out, when the tide's going to be coming in the hardest,
It'll be closest for where you're fishing.
Exactly. And then even when I'm coming in, I know where I can go in at, where I cannot come in at. If I have to go through the main channel, if I could take Salt River, I base everything off of Mangrove Point, and that's what's done really well for me. Just knowing, if Mangrove Point says 1.5, that I can go through Salt River, I myself can, but I can't go to Tank Island, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And what was the name of that app?
Tides.
Just Tides. All right. Keep it simple.
Zach?
Don't try too hard.
So I use actually the same app that Louis uses, but I also use believe it or not, I had to look just to make sure it's tideschart.com. And so basically I just go between both of them. I like to use multiple, apps or websites to accurately look at everything. Also, you really need to take into consideration the wind in that, especially when we're getting into fall. Okay, so you're going to have, say, high tides at 8 o'clock, but all night long you had a northeast wind. It's really going to push that tide out. So I not only look at the tide, charts, I also look at the wind for the next day or multiple days, and that's going to also, really predict where I'm going to fish and at what time.
And with using multiples on that, Zach, are you finding a whole lot of differences between your apps and apps?
There was one of them, and I can't find it anymore. It's called Mobile Graphics. that was the best one because they actually took consideration with the wind into it. So in the wintertime, you'd look at tide charts or any other one, and it would say it was, low tide would be say a 0.8 or something like that. And then you go over and look at mobile graphics and it would say it would be in the negative. And then you're like, okay, why is one saying, one thing and one saying the other? You go on to your wind for the following day and, you've got a 15, 20 mile an hour wind out of the northeast. It's going to blow all the water out and you're going to be pushed into a negative tide.
Nice.
The other thing, I mean, Louis kind of covered it already, but like we were talking about this morning, you were asking me, where I was going to go on those outgoing tides where those people just want to catch redfish.
Right.
And the higher tide, started out at Mangrove Point, and it went out faster. So I started out at Mangrove Point, and then I worked my way to Chaz Point because it was delayed the further south I went.
Right.
So I used the tide charts to figure out my 4 hours of fishing.
Nice.
And to kind of put this into perspective for you, Tucker's Island tomorrow, high tide is at 8:30, it says. And then over here at Mangrove Point, you're looking at 6:59. And then at Shell Island, because these are the 3 I use, you're looking at 7:30. So it's pretty interesting how it, we've talked about in the past where you can follow the tide. You can fish an incoming the entire way. That just shows you from, it's 7 o'clock at Mangrove, you've got your high tide, and then at 8:30 all the way down south, you've got your high tide. It's pretty cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to catch of the week. And then, we'll go ahead and play.
You should see what people got this week.
Yeah, so the Extreme Decals catch of the week.
Damn, ditch pickle.
What's he doing?
That's not a redfish.
For bass.
That's a
I
ditch
didn't
pickle.
realize that the mullet traveled that far into fresh water. I'm glad to see it. That's a good looking red. Out there with Captain Matt.
Yeah, a bunch of people rocking those purple shades.
Big reds.
Very nice fish.
That looks like a good spot.
Right?
Look at that.
That's a big old red out there on Captain Gary's boat. Been a lot of nice redfish moving out there.
Tell you what, they
Sometime
just
in there,
showed up out of nowhere.
That's awesome.
That's the Florida Redfish
Very
Series,
nice
guys.
bass. My goodness. Captain Gene got a nice evening image.
Nice snook.
Have y'all been seeing a lot of snook movement? Seems like once season started, it just kind of fell off.
Yeah, I'm still seeing them.
Nice fish.
And there's a lot.
That's an odd angle.
That is like a very round.
Yeah. That's a big red.
Oh, that's Ken's boat. Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
Captain Ken.
So it sucks.
Beautiful day for
I had those clients the day before, and they were supposed to do half day fishing, half day scalloping, and the weather went south, and so they all jumped on with Ken. That was his first trip on his new boat.
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, Miss Marina.
Oh, that's
Nice reds.
Gorgeous redfish.
that's Mikey.
Oh, he's got a belly spot.
Uh,
Oh, man.
it looks like
Nice
he's
trophy.
had a couple beers. In that
Oh yeah.
nice stash.
Dad's got his work hat on, and he was putting it in.
I'd love to be a fly on that boat and listen to all that BS going
Good
on.
Lord.
That is a light-colored red right
Zach,
there.
that's what they look like when you catch them offshore.
Very
Yeah, I
nice
know.
fish. Very, very nice fish.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you all very much for turning those in.
Mm-hmm. It's always fun to see what everybody's catching out there.
It is. It is very
I like to
nice.
think that I'm the only one catching everything. It's nice to see that everyone else does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
All righty, y'all. We'll be right back with a Bahio commercial coming right up.
All right, guys, I'm trying the brand new Bahio sunglasses on for the very first time. Off with the old, on with the new. Holy shit. this is the biggest like game changer I've ever witnessed in my life with glasses.
Hey guys, Captain Louie here with Tackle Table Talk presented by Nature Coast Financial Advisors. I'm going to talk a little bit about these amazing sunglasses that we have real quick. You know, we've had these, for 2 years now? Has it been 2 years?
Year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yeah.
I feel like
Just over a year because we didn't get them until July last year.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
we had them for the keys.
It just feels like we've had them for so long because we have so many pairs now and we've had so many good stories about them. This is a new frame that just came out. This is the Vega. I picked it up about 2 weeks ago. Didn't think I looked very good in it. I put it on. Bree said I looked amazing. So obviously, I think I'm going to have to get these as well. We've got a bunch of new frames here downstairs. We probably have 30 or 40 different frames, going from pink lenses, purple lenses, blue lenses. We've got ladies styles. We've got men's. Blue frames, pink frames, tortoise frames, all kinds of stuff. Bahio is really something that used to be we would like to have called them a smaller company, and they've blown up like crazy here in the past year. They are pretty much a spin-off of what Costa Del Mar was, because they took everything that Costa was 4 years ago before they sold out and made it into a much better company with, great customer service. These guys are in
New Smyrna Beach.
They're in New Smyrna. So in Florida, being from Inuzello, if you guys need a pair, you can come to the marina. You can get them swapped out or whatnot. Or we're in New Smyrna, not very far away. You can get them the next day. Super great customer service. When you call, you get to talk to a person, the person that we've probably all seen a million times at the marina. Super nice people. This is definitely a product that we're going to hold in the marina for as long as we possibly can. You guys really need to come and check these out if you have not done that before. They are amazing, and I would highly recommend them.
And also, speaking of Bahio, happy birthday to a Ned.
Happy birthday, Ned.
Ned, I think it was his birthday yesterday. I
Was
believe.
it?
Happy birthday,
Yesterday,
Mr.
the day
Ned.
before.
Very nice.
Wonder if she got a pair of Costas for her birthday. Or, I should have said Bahios.
All right, so let's get back into some questions here. Billy, go ahead. Pull it out of the potty. Got quite a few questions to go. So
Pretty lumpy in there.
Gary, you should clean that thing out.
at least it's not wet.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right. This question is actually for you and I, and it's coming from Robin Wright. Anyone else concerned about the floating cake of brown algae out there in the waters?
Go ahead, Billy. Take it off. We talked about this earlier.
It seems to be a reoccurring thing. I do remember seeing this over the past few years. It is literally a floating muck coming off the bottom. Something is gassing off in our waters, and it is bringing that muck to the surface. You actually pick that stuff up. It's very silty feeling and is full of bubbles itself. Get the bubbles gone, you wipe it away, and it all sinks again. I personally think it's 100% natural. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, depending exactly what she's talking about. I'm pretty sure she's talking about what I'm assuming he or she, Robin, could be.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Robin's talking about is what you're talking about, which is a natural occurrence, and it's
ugly.
It's ugly, but it's natural. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be harmful. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it's an actual algae or, like you said, just like a silt.
It seems very silty when you pick it up and actually play with it.
Now there's another thing that has more of like a sheen to it, and it's under the surface. It's not riding the surface like you're talking about. It seems to be like the mouth of the St. Martin's River is where I've been noticing it. That's in the past 2 years.
Right.
And that one's more of a concern. The river turns dark brown whenever it happens.
It does get pretty dark.
But not a biologist, not a scientist. The locals say the rivers, don't turn that brown color typically. And that sheeny one is the one that we need to more
I don't
look
quite
at.
remember a lot of that as a kid here.
Yeah. So,
So
all right, let's move on.
hopefully we answered that for you.
But keep pushing. I mean, keep asking those questions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with it. We need to
Not at
bring
all.
awareness. Trust me, Swift Mud, DOT, DEP are very tired of me asking and emailing and calling. So please
Don't hesitate to do so.
Yeah, we need someone else to step up and start sending these photos and asking these questions. So.
Absolutely. And you may get a real scientific answer if you were to take photos of what we're speaking of, what you're speaking of per se, and turn them into a Swift Mud and see what they say about it. Hopefully it is all natural.
I just Googled, what is the brown poop looking stuff floating in the Gulf of Mexico?
Manatee poop.
No, it doesn't even pop up anything. I was hoping to find something
Nothing
really
came up.
interesting, but nothing came up.
It could. I mean, I remember that brown poopy stuff as a kid. At first, my first thought was from the road water runoff, just because that's something I've been passionate about the past couple of years.
It should
But
be.
when you said it to me earlier, I do remember that as a kid. So
Yeah, I've seen it for the past few years out there.
Yeah, quite a few
It seems to
years.
be, this time of year every year.
Mucky nut.
Never mind. I'm not gonna get into it. All right. So this is from Stacy Catherine. Do you have any fishing superstitions? This is a free for all. I've got one superstition. We'll start here, but it has nothing to do with fishing. It's scalloping.
Oh, okay.
I've never told anyone this, but I will not take. And it's really weird. I don't know why, but I will not. When I jump in the water, start scalloping. I will not put the scallops in the bag until I have 5 in my hand. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I've always said in my head, I'm going to find more scallops. I do it that way. That's my only superstition. Billy?
I like it. I personally don't have a whole lot of superstitions about fishing. I personally am not that good at it. So I may be people's superstition on why they get thumbs ups. But I did actually, I think it was 2 weeks ago, found a full floating banana in the reef. So somebody out there does have a banana superstition of not bringing any bananas on the boat. Heard that one?
Kerry Gibson. I've seen him turn around and come back to a dock.
Somebody
and then
threw their
not go
lunch
back
out.
to-
Yeah, somebody threw their lunch out, and it was a full floating banana in the reef.
Zach, I'm really curious to know, do you have any?
That's why they call it fishing, not catching. So when it comes to fishing, I don't really have any kind of superstition. It's funny you said the thing about the scalloping. When I was a little kid, I found an orange scallop. I put it in my bag. I didn't find any more scallops. Okay, so
that was the end of it.
the next time we went out, I found an orange scallop. I picked it up and I swam it to like a little safe spot and hid it down in the grass so nobody could find it. And I found like 3 or 4 more scallops. And so from that day forward, I mean, I was like 10 years old. I have never kept an orange scallop since
Really?
I was a little kid.
Oh,
That's
wow.
cool.
I will
That's
literally
different.
find, and my clients are like, "Oh man, so, whatever." But
Get it out of this boat.
I show it to them and I go hide it. No, my clients can keep them. I just personally don't keep them. So, but I mean, yeah. Other than that, not really anything.
You're good if I bring a banana on the boat?
I could care less. I have people eat
There it is.
bananas, peanut butter sandwiches on
For
the
diving,
boat.
especially, it pulls the cramps out.
Yeah, I mean, it is useful.
I think if you have a superstition for fishing, you're just using that as an scapegoat.
Yeah. It's like the moon. It's full moon. Probably not going to catch anything today, guys. All right, Louis, what about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I use the banana thing as an excuse someday.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Let me check your lunches.
I love it when I'm having a tough day and somebody pulls a banana out. I'm like, see? We just might as well go in right now.
I'm not going to lie. I've done it many times.
For sure. We all have.
Yeah.
What everybody doesn't know is Louis actually has a banana all the time.
All the
at the bottom of his
Just
cooler.
brought this.
throws
And so
it in
if the
floor.
fishing's slow, he digs, which one of y'all brought this banana?
Must have been a client from yesterday.
Cap, you
You
brought
can
it out of
thank
your
him.
cooler. Oh. No, I don't have any crazy superstitions. I feel like we're on the water way too much to have any of those. I mean, we deal with so many different people, and if we had some kind of superstition that was, very blandly based off of a lot of people, we probably wouldn't catch anything. If that's how we thought about it.
Yeah.
So.
Billy, is it my turn or your turn?
Go ahead. Let's see what you got.
All right. So this one's for Dilly.
No.
Where exactly, pinpoint, Billy, GPS coordinate, where exactly have you seen, this is from Laura Linlott, where exactly have you seen tarpon rolling this week?
Uh-oh.
Tarpon rolling this week. Wild thing about the tarpon this week, I have actually found quite a few of them. As far as finding them in the same places over and over, that I'm not. I find them in the most random places, even cruising back through the St. Martins, playing all the way into the backwaters. There's one tarpon I see quite often. It's the same tarpon, but he's in different waterways every time. The only other tarpon I found was actually just off of Green Key, and it was trying to spit a lure. It was actually driving along. It jumped 3 times with a pretty good head shake. Didn't look to be terribly big, but somebody was definitely disappointed on that one. I found quite about a month ago. I was finding a lot more tarpon out here, but here recently, they're hit or miss. Yeah. Best I could offer to you, if you're truly trying to target them, any fillet station inshore. I'd probably say somewhere around the mouth of St. Martin's. You'd have to get out there and hunt them yourself.
Yeah.
But
I'd say look for the deep holes in the mouths. And
yeah. I still wish I knew what kind of lure that guy was using, though. That fish jumped 3 times, and there was not a soul around me.
I know
It was pretty cool.
I hooked one in Kings Bay one time and with a little Mirrodine, and he jumped for hours.
Yeah, and you're still not attached to it.
Still wasn't attached to it yet.
Yeah, and you're not even attached to it. I had Snook do the same thing right off Zach's dog.
all right, let's get through these questions.
All right. What else do we got here? All right. So an FNFT question. This is for Gary. What is the best spinning rod and reel combo OKM has for shallow water grouper, line leader, and setup for the plugs themselves? And this is actually coming from Mr. Rick Largell.
All right. Easy question because we only have one.
Yes, gotta love that.
We sell one type of reel. We sell one type of rod.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rods that we sell, they don't specifically have a grouper rod yet. We have some prototypes that they are currently developing. They're new grouper rods, but they are far, far, far out from it. So if you're looking to get something right now, shop the market. I can tell you after using these,
I'm excited to get them.
yeah, I'm excited for them to come out. A few little tweaks they need to do, but now last season I used their heavy series, but they had the smaller eyes. They weren't designed for grouper.
Right.
But we were catching Goliath grouper on them. Nothing broke. Nothing.
No, went through a lot of fish.
Yeah. Zach's going to talk more on these Bubba rods later. Now, something that's out right now and we do carry in stock are the Florida Fishing Product reels. See, this one's already set up with a Rapal X wrap. This is the 6,000. I think it's plenty for inshore here. And then this one is the 8,000.
That's a trailer winch.
I haven't even lined this one up yet.
They've got
is a trailer
foam on the new ones. That's pretty cool.
They've always had foam
On the real big ones like
on the
that?
big ones.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
On the reels?
No, on the rods.
Yeah,
Talking
that's
about
new.
the grips.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Mighty
new.
nice.
Yeah. But Florida Fishing Products, it's a local company. You call someone, you talk to somebody. I had a handle break that wasn't the reel's fault. I had a new handle 2 days later.
Their drag is
And their
pretty
drag
stout.
sounds awesome.
Pretty
Everything about performance, everything. So to answer your question, Rick, Bubba rods and Bubba Tidal Series rods and Florida Fishing Product reels. I'm a big fan of for the inshore stuff, the Carbon Series.
Yes.
Big fan of that. So,
Yeah, that carbon drag setup it's worth the extra money.
Yeah.
They
sure.
just came out
Definitely
with
worth
a
it.
new reel, didn't they? The Resolute.
That's what these are.
Ooh.
Is that what those are?
Yeah. The Resolute.
I think that was a certain size, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the bigger.
Yeah, they became the Resolute after that.
Huge fan of them. We sell what we believe in. Doesn't mean there's nothing better out there. Doesn't mean that there's nothing
Oh, I'm sure there is.
equivalent.
But
There's plenty. There's lots of great rods, lots of great reels. But this is what we believe in. So we don't have that big.
beat the
store,
heck out of
so
them.
We like to sell what we believe in. Yeah, we do beat the hell out of
Yeah,
them. So,
we beat
like I
the heck out
said,
of
Zach is going to be the best person to talk about that here in a little bit. All right, Billy, go ahead and pull another question.
All right, what's our next question here?
Commercial, Brianna, is that what you said? All right, so
Oh.
Bree wants to go to commercial before we answer that.
This will be right back in a minute.
All right.
Hi, this is Captain Zach Zachary with New Waters. I've been a professional guide here for 10 years. I use nothing but Bubba Blade products, from their knives, pliers, gloves, and then my absolute favorite thing that they've come out with so far are these rods. I fish with people from all over the world. I've had 0 complaints. This is hands down my favorite ones, the Bubba Title Pro. Amazing rod, light. It can handle everything from your trout, your redfish, your snook, and then there's a couple guys out here that are using them for the shallow water grouper, tarpon, stuff like that. But if you need anything with rods, knives, pliers, electric knives, gloves, nets, anything, guys, Bubba Blade is that is the product that you guys want to be using. If you guys want to live the ultimate lifestyle adventure, get hooked on Bubba. Rods.
60 seconds.
Right now? There we go. Cool. Perfect. And I got 60 seconds to talk about literally, Gary's mistaken. This is the best rod ever made. I can tell you that right now. You just look at that thing.
I agree.
Guys, there's a lot of reasons why I like this. Number one, it is very, very light. Okay. It is a high-end rod. It's expensive, but in fishing, you get what you pay for. So the Bubba Title Pro in a nutshell. Okay. I love the grip down here on the bottom. It makes it where you can do a great power cast. That's the only way I cast, is as hard as I possibly can, every single cast. The reel seat here is really thin, but it's got enough up on the front where you can grab onto it, and then it's got that little bit of foam right there to let your hand seat in it nicely. What's really cool is this rod is completely wrapped all the way up. A lot of rods, go in your garage and look at them, they're only, they only got like an extra backing about 18 inches up. All right, this one's all the way up the front. I use this one for redfish and snook, not so much the trout. And it's just because it's a longer rod. It's made for really, really casting far, and it's just a little bit heavier than this white rod. This white rod is I believe it's a Select. So this is the Bubba Title Select, 7 foot, medium weight. It's actually medium light, extremely, extremely light. The main thing with me fishing for the trout with clients is they're not accustomed to fishing really, really hard. And they get tired throwing like a lot of your Shimano reel or rods. They're very nice rods. They're very durable, but they are heavy. And so that's, if you got a heavier rod, it's going to be just fatigue on you when you're fishing. So if you're throwing artificials a lot, I would recommend the Bubba Title Select. It's absolutely a phenomenal rod. It's a lighter rod, so you're definitely going to have a little bit more of a fight on your hands with a big snook or redfish, but this is a perfect trout rod, snapper rod, anything like that for your inshore stuff. So that's basically wish I had longer to talk about them.
Yes, sir.
But they're great rods, guys. Absolutely amazing. And this one, the grip is sweet. It's the classic Bubba knife grip morphed into a fishing rod, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I think you hit the nail on the head. They're light.
They're light. That's the main reason why I like them, is they're very light, and believe it or not, for how light they are, they're very, very durable. Unless, you've got 2 clients like happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they're essentially sword fighting on the front of the boat with them and they break. But outside of that, guys, I've had 0 issues with them. I'm very, very hard on equipment. It's left in the sun, left in the salt. Not if there's a warranty, buddy, I'm gonna definitely push it to the extreme.
I think another rod company discontinued their lifetime warranty because of Zach Zachary.
For sure. It was once a week, buddy.
Yeah.
Once a week.
All right, Billy, next question.
Let's see what comes up here. Let's see what comes up. All right. This one's actually for me. Where's the best place to drop in a kayak for some great fishing? Map an area. This is from I can't read the last name.
Kenneth Kreitmeyer.
Mr. Kreitmeyer. All right, so I'm going to base this answer off of Ozello. So come your spring, summertime, with kayaks, you obviously don't have the ability to be able to travel long distances, at least not in a good manner of time. So in the spring, summer, your hotter months, I would recommend playing out towards Pirates Cove of Ozello. Going out there, you have a big variety within a short paddle. Your fish are going to be playing in those outer islands in that clear water. And when it comes to wintertime, fall time, and when we start getting cold fronts and the waters start to cool off, I'm going to highly recommend fishing in the St. Martins. And the only reason for that, it does give you multiple directions to be able to go play. Whether you want to fish Salt River, whether you want to fish the St. Martins, Black Creek, Head Creek, anything of that nature, it's within a short paddle. So it does open up a bigger variety of options for a good day of fishing.
Game Creek, Head Creek.
There's piles of places to go play when you start here or John Brown, somewhere of that nature.
I like that. Basically, it's hard to travel far different distances with a kayak. So
it is.
Set yourself up to where you cover as much ground as possible without breaking your back.
Exactly. Best bang for your buck on a boat ramp.
All right, so it looks like we're down to 5 questions. And don't forget the last 3 questions, the last 3 people get added to the Reel of Fortune. So This one's for Louie. This is from Stacy. Do you differentiate what type of artificial you use fishing a soft bottom compared to a hard bottom?
For just anything?
Anything. I'm going to assume anything. Or do
We'll
we
say
want to
trout.
There it
I
is.
feel like trout's been a hot topic.
I feel like she's asking like if you're fishing a mud area or you're fishing a, I guess.
Technically
coral
speaking, yes. But
reef.
if you're in a drift for trout, you are hitting hard bottom and you know you have soft coming up.
Honestly, if everything's pretty much the same, we always talk about how you want to use something that's, or you want to have something on your rod that you can use in multiple different places. A jig head with a saltwater assassin, something simple like this is going to work, in hard bottom and soft bottom. You don't want to use, let's say, like I've been back in creeks where the bottom is nothing but, just like really light mud and
salty.
Let's say that in the wintertime, those fish are laying in that mud. I'm going to want to use something that's not as heavy. It's not going to break into that mud every time I make a jig. That's going to be something that you want to think about. But that's more of a wintertime thing. This time of year, you're going to want to fish that hard bottom. It's going to be, your fish are going to be on hard bottom pretty much year round until it gets super, super cold. And then they're going to be on those mud flats and stuff like that, just to get the warmth from that mud and, that darker water that mud creates and stuff like that. But as far as everything goes, a jig head with a saltwater assassin, maybe a bigger presentation for that muddy water so it doesn't sink into the mud as much. That's the only thing that I would think of. Smaller one for some hard bottom like that.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Great answer. All right. I think it was your turn. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. This one's for Zach. This is from Stacy as well. She's got some good questions. This one's a good one. What is the best way to fish kelp patches, rock grass? Should you cast directly into the kelp or the smooth patches outside of it? If you hook into a fish, what is the most strategic way to reel the fish in without getting the fish buried down in that kelp?
Darn good question. 2-part question.
So basically, cast as far as you can smack into the middle of the grass. All right. Now, I'm going to go into a couple different things if it's all right with the kelp. All right. If it's very shallow and your kelp's only about this far from the surface, you're going to be wanting to use a white fluke with a nose hook on it. Okay. You want that bait to be going right across the top of that kelp. When you hook one, set the hook and reel as fast as you possibly can. Okay. Because you're going for trout. Thing's not going to break the line. Okay. So just reel, keep your rod tip up and just rip him out of there. Okay. If you're fishing high tide over kelp and you've got 2-3 feet of water over top of your kelp, at that point, I'd be using a 1/4 ounce to 1/8 ounce jig, cast it out there, work it. Your first cast is almost like your test cast. Okay. You're going to cast it out there. You're going to let it sink a little bit and then you're going to start working. As soon as you start feeling you're hitting the grass, start reeling it just a little bit faster. And then again, when one strikes it, I keep my drag down a lot tighter for trout than I probably should because the drag does not even go out. As soon as they hook it, I just tell them to reel, crank as fast as your little arms can go. And it's going to just rip him out of there and rip half the kelp out with it. And as long as you keep tension on the line, you shouldn't lose your fish. Now, you've got to take into consideration, even if you're hooking trout on a mud bottom and there is nothing around, you're probably still only going to be landing about 75 to 80% of the trout that you hook if you're, reeling, like I'm saying. If you just take your time with it, yeah, maybe you'll land more. But I go for as fast as you possibly can bring them in the boat.
And you're going to use that same if happen to catch a redfish, something a little bit beefier that's going to stick to the bottom?
If you're fishing for redfish in the kelp, number one, you've got to have your drag set properly for it. He's going to be able to run and get into that kelp. Once he gets into the kelp, keep the line tight. If you're really wanting to get that fish and you want to mess your fishing spot up, keep the line tight, trolling motor over to it, net it out of the kelp. If you're trying to get him out of the kelp, bring the line really, really tight and then loosen it. And you're going to feel that line tighten back up because he came out of the kelp and you can pull him back out of there.
Okay, so you're actually working the fish out
Yes,
of there.
but
Okay.
I would not do that with trout because as soon as you
Let off.
it tears a big hole in their lip. So as soon as you let pressure off of it, boop, he comes off the hook.
See ya.
If it's a redfish, if you don't, like I said, if you don't want to mess the spot up, just drop the rod tip slow, pull it tight, and then drop it slow. He's going to think he got off, and he's going to come out of that grass, and then you can reel him in.
Nice. End up bringing them back.
Yep.
Very nice. All right.
So we got 3 left, right?
Yeah, looks to be.
All right, so 3 questions. So the last 3 people, it's added to the other 3 spots of the Extreme Decals Wheel of Fortune.
This question's going to turn around and become a kind of a free-for-all for everybody. Coming in from David Ellis. So this one's going to be for basically fishing tomorrow. So we're going to have a Saturday early high tide like we will tomorrow, a low tide throughout the afternoon. What time are you trying to get out for the best, or to get to your best spot? Daylight, noon, fishing the afternoon, incoming tide, morning, fall. How would you guys prepare yourselves for that?
So I've had to make that decision 3 times this week, and only one of the 3 I was able to make it to the afternoon, which I think is the preferred time to fish right now with the tides.
Right?
So I know exactly what he's getting at. You look at that tide chart and you're like, do you want to fish the outgoing, that big incoming? The incoming's preferred, but if you want to make sure that you can get out for a good day of fishing, go ahead and just fish the outgoing because of the storms in the afternoons.
Yeah, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock strikes. It's going to be a wet mess.
Yeah, I think tomorrow is real late tide, so I would say probably tomorrow morning's a safer bet. If I wasn't scalloping, I would be fishing early on. So Zach or Billy, Zach.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think if I were going to be fishing tomorrow, I think I'd be out there at sun up, and I'd be working that peak high tide as much as possible and fish that outgoing, and work my way through that at that point. And then maybe on my way back in, look for the deeper pockets of the low tide.
So I am fishing tomorrow. I'm picking my clients up at 7 a.m. This time of year, guys, you can catch your redfish basically on any tide down south. Your redfish up north, you're going to be wanting an incoming tide. So I would leave before 7 a.m. My clients, they're driving from wherever, and that's the earliest they can get here, 7. But daylight would be great. And then I would head south if you're launching out of Crystal River.
Louis?
Yeah, this is that magical time of year where if the tide is high at 7 in the morning, you want to be on the reef or, somewhere around Gray Mare or somewhere there's mullet.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning. Like, I wish that I had a redfish trip tomorrow because that's what I would be doing.
Oh, we're going to bust them up tomorrow.
Get out there
I
that
heard
early
it was
AM.
really good today.
It was awesome today. On the outgoing in the morning.
Very nice. Good question there, Mr. David.
Yep. All right.
2 more.
2 more. This one's for Louis. This is from Jake Odell. So David, Jake, they got added to the Extreme Decals Wheel of Fortune
Perfect.
there. How does the tide affect inshore grouper bite?
Why would you give that to Louis? You don't catch no grouper.
For sure.
So the inshore specifically. So
Yeah.
let's say 10 feet or less.
You know, like I've talked about on this show a bunch of times, it depends on the structure that you're fishing. If you're going to fish a ledge that is facing in, you're going to want an outgoing tide. Your baits are going to be going to the structure itself. I always talk about fishing the high side or the low side, of a rock or a ledge. It works the same way for just a regular old rock that's out there. You're going to want to fish the up tide side of that spot. Even if you're throwing, artificials, a lot of times with the plugs, I'll want to do the opposite. Just hope that the wind's in your favor so that you can throw and that bait's coming over those fish. A lot of times you'll see these videos of these groupers jumping straight up in the air. That's not really because they're turning around and going straight up in the air. It's because it's coming to them and they're going straight up. I've seen it a million times. It's a really, really cool way to fish. But as far as the inshore stuff goes, you want a slower tide. Doesn't matter if it's going in, doesn't matter if it's going out. If you're fishing, rocks, it just depends on which side you're going to set up on to fish those spots and whatnot. But offshore, I like outgoing tide. I mean, it's just what we like. Outgoing tide this time of year seems to be, a little bit slower than an incoming tide. These fish seem to bite a little bit better. It seems like that water out offshore is still a little warm, so that outgoing tide from all the rain that we've had from the rivers, pushing out, that water's just a tad bit cooler, keeping those fish biting in the mornings, and it's been really, really good here lately.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, last question of the evening. The last person to get added to the Reel of Fortune is Stacy.
Ooh, very nice.
Stacy Catherine here. This is for Zach. When fishing shorelines, what's a good general distance to keep your boat away?
That's a great question. Number one, it's going to all depend on the species you're fishing for. Okay, so if you are you've located a big school of snook, or you already know where they are, whatever the case may be, guys, you want to start at least, I would say, 40, 50 yards away from those snook, and then just keep easing your way up to them. Okay, you want to stay as far away as you can from the snook. So I don't know. I would be starting maybe, Louis, what do you say, like 60 yards?
Oh, for sure.
At least off the mangroves?
Like what Mario said. He said 60 yards and then move 10 yards at a time.
Yeah, exactly. For your redfish, depending on the school, depending on where the school is, they're a lot less skittish than your snook. I mean, I've caught redfish literally 5 feet from the boat when they're fired up. With the redfish, you can get away with a little bit more. Just approach it nice and quietly. And if I know right where that school is, I want to be able to position the boat to where my furthest cast, I'm touching just the edge of that school. Okay, because you don't want to drop that bait right in the middle and potentially spook them before they get all fired up. So that all kind of depends on how far you can cast. If you're using one of these rods, you say quarter mile from it. All right. No, realistically, guys, just throw your line out. Say, okay, that's where I'm at, and that's where you're going to want to start for your redfish. For your trout, they will be moving up close to the mangroves soon. With those guys, again, you can catch them pretty close. The main thing is quiet on the boat. All right. I mean, a trout, you watch them; they'll follow your bait all the way up to the boat and then eat it. Okay. So to answer your question, pretty much depends on what species you're going for. And then also depends on how far you can cast. And that's pretty much the most basic way to answer your question there.
Perfect.
I like it.
All righty. So we've got our 6 people here. Louis, we've got John, Laura, Jerry, David, Jake, and Stacy.
You were on here. You can't say my name. I might as well not be able to say yours. Right?
Right.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, so how this works, so Extreme Decals made this awesome Reel of Fortune here. We've got everyone's name associated with a creature on the board. Louis is going to give it a spin like a like a madman, like a just crazy man. And then whatever it lands on, whatever it lands on, that person's name associated with that creature is going to win. We'll say an airboat ride for 2, an hour airboat ride for 2 with Captain Billy, a Friday Night Fish Talk shirt, and a Ozella Keys Marina hat.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Here we go.
Give it hell.
I'm going for a redfish.
Grunt.
Permit.
Shrimp.
Goliath grouper.
Grunt's not even on there.
Red tail snapper.
That's what you.
Marlin.
Sailfish.
We're all wrong.
Sheepshead.
Chief's head. Jerry.
Hey, one there.
Woo! One for the bag there. Thank you guys so much for watching Friday Night Fish Talk, and thank you, of course, to all of our sponsors. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't be here. You guys paid for all the equipment and everything, and really appreciate it. Extreme Decals and I&A Matthews State Farm.
Nature Coast
our
Financial
newest
Advisors.
one, Nature. You got it on lockdown, too. We
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was going to be a hard one to...
Oh, y'all worry about me way too much.
And actually, Gary Marriage from Nature Coast Financial Advisors is going to be on the show next week.
Awesome.
And he's got a sweet boat. He's hardcore fishing.
Perfect.
So we're going to get some fishing advice from him, and then hopefully some financial advice too. Then, of course, the one, the only Phillips Auto Group.
That's right.
So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Zach, Billy. And by the way, Louie, if you guys want a great charter, grouper, Louie, anything else, Zach, hit them up. They dedicate their time to this. If you guys are looking for a good charter and a good time,
It's the truth.
tried and true outdoor adventures, fishchristriver.com, right?
ChristopherFloridaFishing.com.
ChristopherFloridaFishing.com.
My brother's. No, that's not him. I think you just gave him Katie Joe's website, but one of those.
They're so close.
Everything's the same.
And then FloridaFishingAdventures.com.
All right.
So hit them up. You can message them on Twitter or whatever else it is. So.
It's really cool when I have people on the boat because a lot of times I'll talk to them over the phone and they won't say anything about the show, and then they'll get on there and they'll start asking me questions, and then I have to ask questions to them to see how much they know about the show. I had 2 people this week that have watched the show and been fishing with me. So
That's awesome.
It's
I
pretty
see your
cool.
dance moves, Louie.
Yeah.
I saw it on Friday Night Fish Talk.
Yeah, they really wonder why it doesn't happen out there on the boat all the time.
And for the first time, I think all season and half of last season, tonight's show will not be sent off with your dance moves.
This is terrible.
That's
It's
how
gonna
you
be
know
some-
Sean's not
It's going to
here.
be something else.
But there is another blooper.
Oh, I'm
So-
sure. Here we go.
Here we go. We'll see you all next week.
I don't know where it came from.
Tune in this Friday.
Tune in this Friday.
Because... What? Damn.
I quit this place. Fuck this place. I quit.
I like the free-for-alls.
I like that way better than any other one